You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. You saw those two commercials from John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock. Evangelical voters are going to be playing a critical role in Georgia on January 5th. Now, surveys of early voters and exit polls this year showed between 76 to 81% of white evangelicals and born-again voters supporting Donald Trump. That's according to the National Election Poll and AP Votecast. Now, the conservative evangelical Christians who helped send Donald Trump to the White House 4 years ago stuck by him in 2020. White evangelical voters made up 23% of the vote nationwide and overwhelmingly favored Trump, with about 8 in 10 backing him. Let's talk with Reverend Dr. William J. Barber, President and Senior Lecturer for Repairs of the Breach, and Reverend Dr. Barbara Williams Skinner, co-chair of the National Black Clergy Network, and also Reverend Jamal Bryant, Senior Pastor of New Birth Missionary Baptist Church. Jamal, I want to start with you for a couple of reasons. Last week we played the video. A lot of people saw the video of Paula White, and she was, praying against everybody for Donald Trump, for him to win, and then she got a lot of pushback and criticism. And so she dropped this video here as a way of talking back to her haters.
You have my number. I've got over 6,000 people that got my phone number. You've got my number, all right? You know exactly. I'll be bold enough to say how to call me. Don't be a coward and put something out on the internet when you have my number. Call me. Call me. Because we'll sit up here and I'll have you come here and we'll talk about it. We'll sit here. Don't have me call some things out. You call. Okay, I expect the world to. You guys go ahead.
Well, Jamal, she said, don't have me call some things out. Well, Paula, let me call a few things out. Jamal, on August 22nd, 2017, after she made some previous comments on Jim Bakker's show, I sent her an email and said, we need to talk. She responded to me saying she would do so when she got back out of the country. She said her comments were taken out of context. She never called. Then on November 21st, 2017, I emailed her again saying, we need to talk. She said, quote, I'm flying to Ghana this Friday, looking forward to being back there. I return the following week. Let's talk when I return. She never called. On October 15th, 2018, at 1:15 p.m., I sent her another email saying, we need to talk, saying it has been a year since I last emailed you. She never responded. I've emailed her, I have texted her, I've called her. I know for a fact that Reverend Dr. William J. Barber has has asked to, and made it clear he would happily debate the likes of Franklin Graham and Jerry Falwell Jr. and others. They refused to debate. In fact, Jerry Falwell Jr. ordered, when he was running Liberty, ordered the police, if Reverend Barber or anybody from his group who was in Lynchburg stepped foot on the campus, to arrest them. These white evangelicals don't really want to have a dialogue with us, Pastor Jamal Bryant. They care about two things. They care about abortion, and they care about getting rid of all gay folk.
Well, you've got several problems layered, Roland. First, let me thank you for being consistent in raising your voice for us. But you've got two issues here for evangelicals who claim to be pro-life for Black babies, but they're not pro-life for grown Black people. So the evangelicals went completely mute around George Floyd, around Breonna Taylor, around Trayvon Martin, Sandra Bland, Freddie Gray. They're not really pro-life. It is only at the place of those who like baby Jesus, as long as he's in a manger. But they don't like grown Jesus when he starts kicking over tables. The second issue, different from Franklin Graham with Paula White, Roland, is the Black church made her. And so there's blood dripping on our hands because we put her on stages, platforms, and programs where we never push sisters with stellar gift, capacity, skill, and credentials, but we let her float through. Now it's what Malcolm X calls the chickens are coming home to roost. And I think that that last Pandora's box that opened was her calling in for African angels to support Donald Trump when she forgot that that was the same land that he cursed as whole nations. And so I responded to that video you just posted, saying, let's have a dialogue, asking, in fact, without knowing the information you just shared, for you to be the moderator. But the Black church has got to have a real come to Jesus meeting about what we promote and understanding what is the slave Americanized religion that has so many of our people sitting in the balcony, but they're not allowed in the finance room.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, at Seek.com, I want to thank them for being a partner with Roland Martin Unfiltered. Mary Spiel, the founder of this Black-owned virtual reality company. You can watch their content at Seek.com, CEEK.com. This is one of the headsets that you can use. This virtual reality headset. Drop your phone right into here. Look at that content, that VR content on their site. Other 360-degree video puts you right there up close. And so you just pop it on like this, and then you're able literally to just sit here and put yourself in the room and see everything that's around you 360 degrees. Now, if you're listening to music, folks, you can check out the music on their Seek.com headphones. These right here, folks, are 360-degree 4D headphones. The bass on these things are absolutely amazing. Surround sound. So literally when you're listening to it, the sound actually is around your whole head. Again, created by a sister. If you want to get the headset for the music or the VR headset, simply use this promo code RMVIP2020. RMVIP2020. Christmas is coming up. Some great gifts. In fact, my birthday in 9 days. So I'm just giving y'all a hint. So use a promo code RMVIP2020 and go to Seek.com. And again, we appreciate them being partners with us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. This was the video that took place yesterday at Kenneth Copeland's church in Fort Worth. Watch this.
The media said what? The media said Joe Biden's president.
Well, they can laugh all day, Barbara, but he president-elect. Barbara? Barbara, can you hear me? Barbara, can you hear me? Guys, Barbara, can you hear me? All right, y'all, let me know if Barbara, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, so Kenneth Copeland finds this ought to be humorous.
What's funny right now? People are hurting. What's funny right now? Racism is still alive and well in America. What is so funny?
Well, that's the whole point. And for them, they think this is a big joke.
Well, white evangelicals, Roland, were on the wrong side of slavery. They were on the wrong side of the civil rights movement. They were on the wrong side of the racial reckoning after Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, and they're on the wrong side right now. They have this mirage about white supremacy in the good old days remaining forever, even though we're just decades away from there being absolutely no majority race. It's going to blow their minds when they get to that point, when they're no longer a majority. But they are hanging on by the thread with Donald Trump as their defense against a multiracial America and democracy and the good old days where white people control. That day is gone. It's going. And it's not even Christian. It's not even Christ-like what they have supported. They basically have lost their credibility, spiritual credibility.
They may have lost their spiritual credibility, Reverend Barber, but the reality is they still form a potent force, if you will, when it comes to the voting booth. And in fact, Reverend Barber, Pastor Rudy McKissick posted this video on his Instagram page, and I just found it to be very interesting. Reverend Barber, to listen to the reaction of white evangelicals to Biden-Harris winning.
Father, we praise you tonight. We humble ourselves tonight, Lord God. We ask you in Jesus' name, Father, that you'd forgive us as a people. Almighty God, please. God, you are pro-life. And one man is, and one man is not. Would you be pro-life for us? Jesus, Lord, one man is for Israel, one is not. You are for Israel. Lord, one man is for our military and our police, and the other is not. You are. What will we decide? What message will we send you? Jesus, forgive us as a people. We have slept.
Reverend Barber, I can't play all that. Here's what I just heard, Reverend Barber. He mentions pro-life.
Right.
He mentions the military and law enforcement. He mentions Israel. He does not mention the Palestinian people. He does not mention the fact, Reverend Barber, that Joe Biden got more military votes in these key states than Donald Trump did.
Absolutely.
To Jamal's point, he ain't talking about the issue of the death penalty of folks who've been shot by cops. And he sure as heck, and all that crying and whining, did not say nothing about the poor, Reverend Barber.
Well, you're exactly right. And he got the repentance part right, but he's doing the wrong repentance. If you go down the list of things Jesus listed in Luke 4:18 and in Matthew 25, he didn't bring any of that. He didn't bring any of the Beatitudes. Now, it is important, Roland, that I think when we talk about these evangelicals, first of all, when you look at biblical evangelicals, the white abolitionists were evangelicals. The social gospel movement was evangelical. The evangelicals we have today, they stole the term. They hijacked it during the time that many of them were, and it actually started before the civil rights movement. It started during the New Deal, and there's a book on this called The Purchasing of the American Pulpit by Kevin Cruz out of Princeton. And they actually, the corporate business world, the Chamber of Commerce, decided that they did not have the ability to shape the moral consciousness. They were upset that the social gospel was so deep in the churches. And they gave a man out of California some money, big money, And his job was to purchase the American pulpit. And inside of 10 years, he had something like 19,000. And if you trace from there to the moral majority, to the so-called religious right, they all flow out of there. That's one thing you ought to understand about this. Secondly, my dear friend Jonathan Hartgrove grew up in white evangelicalism, and he's now writing some of the strongest books against it and standing against it. Young people are leaving them in droves. They don't like to talk about it, but if you read some of the other events, they're leaving them. There's a whole group of Christians now called red letter Christians who have left this so-called white evangelicalism. They work with us in the Poor People's Campaign. They just moved on. But then there's another dynamic, Doc, and that is, a lot of black ministers supported Trump, supported Reagan and Bush. They supported the governor out of Ohio, Kasich. And when you look at their policies, the only difference between them is Trump's craziness. And that's something we're going to have a discussion about because we have some of that same stuff happening inside of the black church that has supported, some of these Republicans whose policies were just extreme. Remember, Governor Kasich was the one that cut welfare and put people out. Look at where Ronald Reagan started his campaign. Roland, you and I have talked about this in Philadelphia, Mississippi. Look at what he did. Look at what George Bush did. George Bush left Obama the recession. Obama had to pull up out of it. We have to be careful not just to be moved by people who now say they were against Trump or for Trump, because Trump is a part of ism. And you and I were talking about it the other day. There was a decision made in 1968 by Pat Buchanan, Kevin Phillips, and some so-called white evangelicals to split the country in half for political purposes. That was their goal. And they said they would always disavow it. And if they did it, they could survive and rule the country politically for the next 50 years. Well, this is the 52nd year of that. This is the 52nd year. And what scares them the most is that is Georgia churning, North Carolina, these southern states, because that was the goal. But behind it, even beyond abortion and prayer in the school and being against gay people, that's the stuff they put out front. They used to put out front segregation. They can't do that anymore. But if you look even deeper, the candidates they support are all pro-corporate. They treat corporations like people and people like things. Every one of the judges that they put on the bench vote 90 and 98% in favor of corporation. What we have here, Roland, and I'm through, is what Ezekiel talked about in Ezekiel 22, when it talked about how the prophet, the priest, and the greedy had hooked up together, the love of money. So all that crying you just saw him doing, if you check who really is behind him, his backers, where they really are, all of these folk, it traces to the Dallas Business Club, that group of oil leaders and folk like that have put enormous amounts of resources into creating the illusion, because what they want is the white evangelical vote to go toward candidates who, when they get elected, they will primarily support corporate interests and support voting laws that suppress Black, brown, and indigenous votes. That's what's really going on behind. It's deceptive, and you got to get up under it.
And Jamal, what has to happen is we have to be willing to challenge them as vigorously as possible. I know some Black folks who say, oh, this is about religious liberty and churches should be able to take federal funds and hire who they want to hire. And look, there are a number of Black churches that are very much pro-life, that believe in a marriage between a man and a woman, but they also say, but I can't get with your racism. I can't get with how you're treating children on the border. I can't get with it's good people on both sides. And to me, this is the moment where the Black church has to frankly throw down against the likes of Franklin Graham and Ralph Reed and Tony Perkins and Paula White and say, no, we drawn a line. Either you truly with Jesus or, as Reverend Barber said, you with corporate America. Jamal?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, yes. I think that is why, in part, it is so critical that we underscore the significance of Reverend Raphael Warnock going to Senate. It shows the Black church in marketplace holding and underscoring our values and principles that are not for sale. That underrated activist Hosea Williams said, we're unbought and we're unbossed. And so isn't it critical that all of America's power structure comes back to a Black pastor? And I latched that on to the history lesson that Reverend Barber just gave us, is that the Black church can't be for sale in this hour. Is that we've got to realize that there is so much swinging in the pendulum, and that's why all eyes are going to be on Georgia. And let it not be lost on us that Reverend Raphael Warnock pastors from the sanctuary of Martin Luther King Jr. There's so many historical tropes connected to that that are symbolic of the changing of the guard, the shifting of the paradigm, and the fulfillment of the dream. And so here in Georgia, I'm excited about us turning the page on one chapter and shutting a book on another one, that the real church is going to have to show itself. Because what we have seen is while Trump has lost the election, a lot of evangelicals are losing their mind, they're losing their place, and they're losing their theological footing.
Barbara, you have been battling these folks for quite some time, and the reality is here. Franklin Graham often questioned whether Barack Obama was a Christian. Yet he's excused the cheating behavior of Donald Trump. We've watched these people who always are talking morality and principles and morals and values and ethics completely throw that out the window for Donald Trump. Barbara, go right ahead.
We're talking about supporting the empire versus supporting the kingdom. That's what Reverend Dr. Barber was just talking about. That the Black church really threw down in Milwaukee and Detroit and Philadelphia and Atlanta for justice, for, righteousness for the poor. They didn't fall for the okie doke of 8 months, 9 months in the womb, of pro-life. That's not pro-life. They didn't fall for the okie doke of righteous living when you support a president who's the most scandalous, immoral ever. So I'm proud of the Black church, and I'm hearing Dr. Jamal say the same thing, that we have an opportunity in Georgia to lift up the very best of the Black church and not get into bed with white evangelicals as though they are for us. They are not for us. They are not committed. They got what they wanted. They got 200 lifetime appointments on the federal bench, not for, that were anti-civil rights.
Yeah.
They got that. They got 3 justices who will take out health care for Black people and brown people and poor white people during a pandemic. They are not in the same league with us. Now, should we build bridges? Of course, we're called to do that. But we need to be clear about the differences right now. They would look at the vote. 70% of them have no problem. Racism is not a deal breaker for them. Injustice is not a deal breaker. Caging brown children that's not Jesus. That's none of the gospel. So what Bible are they reading? To me, they have become just another political band.
Well, first of all,
they lost all moral authority.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, at Seek.com, I want to thank them for being a partner with Roland Martin Unfiltered. Mary Spiel, the founder of this Black-owned virtual reality company. You can watch their content at seek.com, CEEK.com. This is one of the headsets that you can use. It's virtual reality headset. Drop your phone right into here. Look at that content, that VR content on their site. Other 360-degree video puts you right there up close. And so you just pop it on like this, and then you're able literally to just sit here and put yourself in the room and see everything that's around you 360 degrees. Now, if you listen to music, folks, you can check out the music on their Seek.com headphones. These right here, folks, are 360-degree 4D headphones. The bass on these things are absolutely amazing. Surround sound. So literally when you're listening to it, the sound actually is around your whole head. Again, created by a sister. If you want to get the headset for the music or the VR headset, simply use this promo code RMVIP2020. RMVIP2020. Christmas is coming up. Some great gifts. In fact, my birthday in 9 days. So I'm just giving y'all a hint. So use a promo code RMVIP2020 and go to seek.com. And again, we appreciate them being partners with us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Rishi, I had someone who called me today and they said, but is he going to concede? I said, I don't care. I said, he doesn't have to concede. I said, 69 days from now, his ass is gone. Donald Trump, he is sitting in the Oval Office right now. Right now. On January 19th at 11:59 a.m., the Secret Service is going to walk in and say, it's time to go. If he resists, they're going to say, sir, it's time to go. You can no longer occupy this building because you're no longer president. At 12:01, it does not matter if Joe Biden has put his hand on the Bible and raised his hand. It does not matter. The Constitution states at 12:01 p.m., that man is going to be president of the United States. They will walk Trump's ass out of the Oval Office into the beast, say, drive him to Andrews Air Force Base. He can have a 10-hour rally if he wants to in the hangar. And when he's done, they will put his behind on that plane and say, where are we taking you? New York, Ireland, Mar-a-Lago, Aruba, hell, it don't matter. Where are we taking you to?
Go to hell.
And then they're going to drop his ass off. He's going to have his smaller Secret Service detail and that wonderful blue and white plane that says President of the United States on the side, United States of America on the side, is going to fly back to Andrews Air Force Base and will not be called Air Force One when he's on it. So I keep telling people, y'all, stop. I don't even care. He's lost. Bye-bye.
Right. I mean, Inauguration Day technically is on January 20th, but I totally agree with your point.
Yeah, 20th.
The problem isn't so much that Donald Trump, whether he concedes or not, but what is genuinely a problem is the obstruction from the Trump administration in terms of a smooth and peaceful transition of power. We know that there isn't going to be this armed coup, but nonetheless, we still need these government agencies to cooperate, not because they're competent, not because they have any kind of unique skills that would not be present in a Biden-Harris administration, but because lives are on the line. Even Donald Trump's COVID task force has stated that their not being able to cooperate with the Biden-Harris task force could lead to more carnage. Donald Trump sat there in his inauguration and he talked about American carnage, and he delivered on that. And that's what's happening right now. We might see another 150,000 deaths at the massive escalation that we're seeing of COVID infections. And we're not putting Biden Harris in the best position to take over and tackle it. And the less that they have to prepare, the less involved they are right now, the more extreme the measures we might have to take come 2021. And I know we all want to get the hell up out the house. And so there is a real consequence to Donald Trump's rhetoric, because you have people like Emily Murphy in the GSA who won't sign transition papers. You have people like Mike Pompous, as Dr. Carr referred to him, who are holding back correspondence from foreign leaders. These are all things that put us behind the 8 ball. Luckily, we do have an administration that will be coming into power, like you said, no matter what, per the Constitution, that is competent, that is ready, that is able, that will listen to science, and that's been there and done that. So that gives me confidence, but we cannot let Trump off the hook for the obstruction, and I will say treason against the United States, because he is obstructing the will of the people. 76 million people and counting.
All right, folks, back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, this is the Seek.com virtual reality headset. What happens is you just pop your phone right into here, and then when you close it up, you can actually look at the content on Seek.com, their VR content, or you can look at other 360-degree video that puts you right into the room. So, like, literally, you can just be looking all over. And so, Mary Spio is the founder of the company. She's the innovator behind this, a black woman, sister from Ghana. And so that's their VR headset. They also have these 360-degree 4D headphones. A tremendous bass that covers all across your head. Great sound. Gamers love them. You can attach a headset to this as well. It's Bluetooth. Folks, if you want to get either one of these devices, go to Seek.com, Seek.com. That's Seek.com, Seek.com. Use the promo code RMVIP2020. RMVIP2020, and check that out. And so we certainly appreciate them being partners with us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered, where we, of course, support black-owned businesses like Seek.com. And also go to their site. You can also subscribe to their monthly content. That's right there on Seek.com. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. We've talked about the power of black women, also the fact that the two highest voting groups in this election were black women and black men. 91% of black women voted for Donald Trump. 80% of black men, 91% of black women voted for Joe Biden against Donald Trump. 80% of black men voted for Joe Biden against Donald Trump. A sister sent me an email. Her card is on my desk. I'm sorry. A sister sent me this T-shirt, y'all, today, and it says "Vote like a black woman." Which was pretty funny. And Eva Longoria, who is a Democratic activist, she's an actress, but let's just say she got in a little hot water over the weekend when she said this on MSNBC.
Power, and does the Democratic Party understand why it's back in power?
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point. I mean, I think, campaign financing needs to be looked at. I think the way in which we campaigned, there were so many false ads in Florida in Spanish. Spanish wasn't regulated the same as in English. And so I do think we need to take a look at that. Again, our work is just beginning. But I want to talk about what you just said about the women. The women of color showed up in big ways. Of course, you saw in Georgia what black women have done, but the Latina women were the real heroines here, beating men in turnout in every state and voting for Biden Harris at an average rate close to 3-1. And that wasn't surprising to us. Latinos are the CEOs of the households. They make all the financial decisions and healthcare decisions and educational decisions. Many Latinas are small business owners, and they wanted a plan for recovery for themselves, not for Wall Street. And so Trump's policies were never aimed at the struggling Latina community. And, if you look at voter suppression on top of that, how Latinas showed up, even through the closing of polling places and the shutting down of drop-off sites and new voter ID laws and long lines and driving 30 miles and all of that And on top of that, restrictions and safety protocols of a pandemic. That spirit and perseverance that Latinas use in their daily lives, the struggle to pay their bills and the struggle to show up to their jobs and homeschool their kids and take care of their elders, that's the same perseverance and spirit they use to show up at the polls.
That did not sit well with a whole bunch of sisters. Eva Longoria got ripped for those comments, giving the impression that she was dismissing black women and said Latina women were the ones who are doing it. But this is so when she got criticized on that, this was what she posted on Twitter. I'm so sorry and sad to hear that my comments on MSNBC could be perceived as taking credit from black women. When I say that Latinas were heroines in this election, I simply meant that they turned out in greater numbers and voted more progressively than Latino men. My wording was not clear, and I deeply regret that. There is such a history in our community of anti-blackness in our community, and I would never want to contribute to that, so let me be very clear. Black women have long been the backbone of the Democratic Party, something we have seen played out in this election as well as previous ones. Finally, black women don't have to do it alone any longer. Latinas, many who identify as Afro-Latina, indigenous women, AAPI women, and other women of color are standing with them so we can grow our collective voice and power. Together, we are unstoppable. Nothing but love and support for black women. Everywhere you deserve a standing ovation. Rosa Clemente is an activist, and she dropped a couple of videos on Instagram last night, right after this whole thing happened. She joins us right now. Rosa, glad to have you back on Roland Martin Unfiltered. So you were real quick with the reaction. I saw Tamika Mallory's tweet saying, hey, we need to get together with Rosa, Carmen Perez, Linda Sarsour, and have a conversation with Eva Longoria to deal with this. Just share your thoughts about this whole back and forth in this dialogue after Eva's appearance.
Well, yeah, thank you for having me, Roland. So for people that don't know me in your audience, I identify as a Black Puerto Rican woman, not Black and Puerto Rican, but a Black Puerto Rican woman. And a lot of my scholarship and my PhD that I'm completing now is specifically looking at Black Latinos in the United States within the Black radical tradition and part of the Black long freedom struggle in this country. So when I heard that, I immediately responded because it was an anti-Black statement, right? And it is very critical that even though I identify, and there's other sisters like me who identify as Black or Afro-Latina, that I also respect the particular freedom struggle of African-American women, and not just now, but as long as they've been here, especially those that come out of enslavement. So I dropped my Instagram and it got a lot of views, and then I talked to Eva. We have a fellow sister common with us, Carmen Perez, one of the founders of the Women's March, and I had a good conversation with her. And then today, me and other sisters had another good conversation with Eva. And what I mean this, she is going to make another statement because people also didn't feel that this first statement she made was what it should be. Basically, I messed up. I'm sorry. I have things to root out. And many of us in the Latino community have to consistently be rooting out anti-Blackness. But I also say that there should be a little bit of grace given in this respect, that we talk about anti-Black racism, right? And I always tell people, especially all of those Latino people, that we're not a monolith, right? It is very true that unfortunately 33% of Latino men voted for Trump. And I actually think that's also the patriarchy. Like, I think if Joe Biden, vice president, was Cory Booker or Julian Castro, that number would have been lower, which really speaks to what we call machismo and patriarchy, not just with Latino men, but also within, some African-American men and communities like that. So I don't speak for Eva. she's going to be speaking. We're going to do some concrete things to really hone in and keep outrooting what we say in the Latino or the Afro-Latino, Black Latino community is we talk about rooting out anti-blackness, right? Rooting it out. There's a saying in our communities, pelo malo or pelo bueno, good hair or bad hair. That all leads to why particularly those of us that are African descendants, right, often don't identify as Black because there's not even a category for like Afro-Latinos or Black Latinos to identify. We're not ever in any census data at all. So I don't know if people fully understand. There are millions of Afro-Latinos in the country that not only identify as Afro-Latino, Afro-Latina, as Black Latino, Black Latinx people, and also put ourselves within this Black freedom struggle. And I want people to understand that. Lastly, on this point, what I would say is that as a Puerto Rican, I also have a very different experience than all my other brothers and sisters from Latin America and the Caribbean. What is that? Like our African American brothers and sisters in this country and non-binary folks, we are American citizens. So the relationship with Puerto Ricans and African Americans has always been one of solidarity. And in fact, if we really look at social justice movements in general, you're never not going to see African people with African Americans, Haitians, Cubans, Puerto Ricans representing. And I think why this comment was also wrong and anti-Black was that already progressive, but particularly African-American women, people already trying to erase that the fact that once again, it is African-American women that delivered this win. It is African-American women that helped push out this fascist. And that is very incumbent on people like me and Eva to do more work within our communities to see that we have a history of working together. And the larger thing is, this is what white supremacy loves. So why continue to feed on that? So we have work to do in our communities, and she's committed to that work, and so am I, along with some other brilliant sisters like Carmen Perez.
I had reached out to a very well-known Black actress who is close friends with Eva Longoria last night and said, let her know. We would love for her to come chat with us here because I think it's important to also have the conversation with Black folks on Black platforms. Because there are because the thing that we do have to deal with here, and to your point, we're seeing it in the numbers. We're seeing it. The reality is you do have an issue of misogyny. Kamala Harris is the vice president. What happens if she runs for president in 2024? What happens if she runs and Joe Biden runs in 2024 and she runs in 2028? We also have to deal with the fact that we are 23 years away from America becoming a nation majority people of color. We have to deal with the reality, of race. We have to deal with the reality of white Hispanics. We got to deal with the reality of how Cuban voters think and see themselves. How the Latino in Miami is different than the one in Chicago, than the one in California, than the one in Florida, than the one in Arizona, and we have to deal with the issue of racism within the Latino community. I remember on the journalism side how they were folks really went after Telemundo and Univision by saying where are the dark-skinned Latinos? Where are they? And so these are issues that have to play out. And I remember back in 2004, I think, when Kwesi Mfume was president of the NAACP, and he went to LULAC. And he was saying then, look, we are going to have to if we're going to be the two largest minority groups in this country, we're going to have to establish relationships to better understand each other, to use our power together as opposed to pretty much aligning with white Americans to further disenfranchise people of color.
Yeah, and you know what? On the Florida thing, I pushed back heavy on that. First of all, 3% of those people Latinos voted in Florida
Right.
for Biden, right? For Trump.
First
right?
of all, the reason I mentioned Florida is because what has to happen is we have to look at Latinos not as Latinos, but in that case, Cuban Americans, Venezuelans, Puerto Ricans, folks who are Peru, folks who are from Brazil, and people. You can't just simply assume everybody is the same. I'm from Texas, and so
Yeah.
I see Mexican Americans a lot differently than Cubans. In fact, I remember there was a guy who ran, Orlando Sanchez. He ran for mayor of Houston, and he was trying to really get the Latino vote, but it was like, dog, you Cuban, you're a Republican. You're a Cuban American who's Republican. They were like, no, we gonna go with the black guy Lee Brown, and we saw that. So,
what I'm trying to say about Florida is that nobody's talking about the 84% of Puerto Ricans that are in Florida.
right,
They actually now, Puerto Ricans, post Hurricane Maria, we're 1.5 million in Florida. And I think I spoke to you about this during the
Right.
whole thing that, it would have been great for Biden and Harris to actually talk to Puerto Ricans who still came out 84% and voted for them. They could have flipped. Puerto Ricans are the swing vote in Florida. It's not the Cubans anymore, right? In Pennsylvania, Puerto Ricans are becoming a swing vote. So what you also say that you're acknowledging, which is important, is like there's this amorphous 65 million Latinos. Well, what does that mean? And that's why I specifically always identify as a Black Puerto Rican, right? Because I know ethnically and nationally I'm a Puerto Rican. But if I want to be within conversations in race, I also have to say, well, look, even though I racialize myself as Black, there are these nuances. But what I think is still missing is that we don't talk enough about our solidarity with each other, that people are working on this and rooting this out. And actually, as someone that's been part of Black Lives Matter for the last 6 years, I am so heartened that I've been doing this work for 25 years. That's an entire new generation of Afro, Black, Latina, women, Latinx folks that are like, we are here, we are dealing with anti-Blackness, we are in solidarity with our brothers and sisters, and we're also going to prove and show up from now on. So then, of course, when Eva makes that mistake, the anti-Black statement that she made, how do we deal with it? We call her. She has to have accountability. She's going to put out another statement. And I'm going to keep working in the work that I've been doing, which is to keep uplifting the fact that there is a growing number of us who identify that way. And we have to now think about the data and geographical census data that we can glean. Because in 2016, the Pew Research Center said that over a third of, quote, Latinos in the United States identify racially as Black. But we often don't hear that narrative. And honestly, I think you're one of the only few people that I've always gets the nuance to it.
Well, that's because, but Rosa, let's just be honest. The problem is because you got mainstream media filled with largely white folks. You got very few Latino, Hispanic commentators, contributors. You got very few.
They're all white passing. They don't want people like me. They don't want, and honestly, I'm not that dark, y'all. Obviously I'm African featured over in here, but yeah, they don't want us. And the other thing that's happening too is that I feel like all the media right now needs to be called out on this. Why don't you talk about the fact that more white women voted for Trump in this election than in 2020?
55%.
In 2016.
Increase of 2
and that's
points.
Not to say we shouldn't deal with the comment that was made. What we should be saying is like, take accountability, because that's a lot about what we talk in the movement. So someone takes accountability and then the actions speak louder than words. That's what Eva's going to do with a lot of us. And we're going to actually build out a whole series of conversations. But I think it is very interesting that the media continues to harp on where was the Latino turnout? What about the African-American men that voted for Trump? What about your white women that voted against themselves, and continue to vote against themselves? That to me is very like scary, but also like, let's call out what we see. At the end of the day, Black and brown folks came together, particularly younger people. Like, I might not be down with this whole Democratic Party, two-party system, but I'm sure that we got to remove that fascist from office for all of us to actually survive and thrive.
Rosa Clemente, always a pleasure. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Roland.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, at Seek.com, I want to thank them for being a partner with Roland Martin Unfiltered. Mary Spiel, the founder of this Black-owned virtual reality company. You can watch their content at Seek.com, CEEK.com. This is one of the headsets that you can use. This virtual reality headset. Drop your phone right into here. Look at that content, that VR content on their site. Other 360-degree video puts you right there up close. And so you just pop it on like this, and then you're able literally to just sit here and put yourself in the room and see everything that's around you 360 degrees. Now, if you listen to music, folks, you can check out the music on their Seek.com headphones. These right here, folks, are 360-degree 4D headphones. The bass on these things are absolutely amazing. Surround sound, so literally when you're listening to it, the sound actually is around your whole head. Again, created by Assistant. If you want to get the headset for the music or the VR headset, simply use this promo code RMVIP2020. RMVIP2020. Christmas is coming up. Some great gifts. In fact, my birthday in 9 days. So I'm just giving y'all a hint. So use a promo code RMVIP2020 and go to Seek.com. And again, we appreciate them being partners with us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. If you want to understand how deranged these folks are, Michael, you've got Lindsey Graham out there saying that, we're going to stand with Trump and we're going to have hearings on the illegal voting. I mean, it's just absolutely ludicrous what you're seeing from these people. But this is also why, Michael, where I keep saying, I don't want to hear no bullshit about how we need to reach out to them. How we need to understand the other 70 million who voted for Trump. No. These are people who willingly voted for racist, who had no problem overlooking everything. These are people who don't care. These are people who will say and do anything. This is why I keep saying to Democrats, when you get power, you wield it. These folks have no integrity, no credibility, no dignity. The fact that very few Republicans have actually come out. Susan Collins, she dropped an announced tweet today congratulating Joe Biden on winning. Mitt Romney, he was on the Sunday shows over the weekend, and he was actually speaking to this very issue. This is what he had to say.
The election, it's not just a question of, we have questions about this place or that place. And we should note, Republican election lawyer Ben Ginsburg, who's a CNN commentator, he's looked into these complaints about voter fraud and the like, and he doesn't see any of these complaints as having merit. Election officials in Philadelphia, Republican election officials, and throughout the country say this was a clean election. Does it concern you at all that President Trump and his team are out there saying that he won and lying about the integrity of the election with wild allegations?
You're not going to change the nature of President Trump in these last days, apparently, of his presidency. He is who he is, and he has a relatively relaxed relationship with the truth, and so he's gonna keep on fighting until the very end. But I'm convinced that once all remedies have been exhausted, if those are exhausted in a way that's not favorable to him, he will accept the inevitable. But don't expect him to go quietly in the night. That's not how he operates.
Avis, let me tell you how crazy these people are, how nuts these people are. Kelly Loeffler now wants the Republican Secretary of State in Georgia to resign because he has said this was a clean election. The Lieutenant Governor of Georgia, a Republican, has said we have absolutely no evidence of voter fraud. Now they're turning on Republicans in these states. Ronna McDaniel last week charged that in Oakland County, Michigan, that there was 2,000 fraudulent ballots. The clerk, who is a Republican, came out and said, basically, who the hell are you to question my integrity, and said that is simply a lie. That shows you how dangerous and evil these people are.
Absolutely. I mean, they've shown from day one as an administration that they're willing to throw anybody under the bus, including their own people. I mean, how many times does the king of wanting loyalty has shown that he's not loyal to anybody, including his own supporters? This is the same person that left two groups of thousands of supporters out in the cold for hours after one of his super spreader events. This is the same person who keeps on firing person after person after person throughout his time in office, specifically because for some reason they may have told the truth. God forbid, about something. You know, this is the type of criminal enterprise that we have that's running the White House right now. This is not an administration. This is like some sort of crazy family mafia deal that we have that has taken over the government. And it's not just Trump. That's the worst part. It's all his other minions. The Lindsey Grahams, these career politicians, God forbid, they are the swamp, okay, who have now align themselves with this criminal mentality. And so I could completely agree with you. The last thing that I'm looking to do right now is to hand over an olive branch to these criminals. You don't negotiate with terrorists. That's what I think of these people as. You defeat terrorists. And so to me, the number one focus that we really need right now, beyond this debacle, is to make sure that those 2 Senate seats that are up for election in Georgia are secured. I do not want 2 Senates, a Biden and Harris administration to a McConnell-run Senate, because there is no negotiation with terrorists, okay? We need to defeat them, put a stake in the heart. And for that to happen, we need to take over the Senate. And so to me, that is my primary focus at this moment.
And Shane, that really has to be the focus, because the reality is this here. If Democrats are able to pick up the seat with Pastor Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff, that would be a 50-50 tie in the Senate. That means that on any ballot, any legislation where it's a tie, Vice President Kamala Harris can break the tie. Everything about Democrats has to be focused on those Georgia seats, because we already see exactly what Republicans are going to do if they are in control of the United States Senate.
Absolutely, Roland. And I agree with Dr. Avis and what my colleague is saying on the panel. I agree that we need to focus on the Senate seats. I'm going down to Georgia following Thanksgiving to do some work with the Reverend Raphael Warnock campaign. And in return, I also support John Ossoff because I think that we need to flip those seats. It's incredibly important. And I also remember, Roland, in 2008, when Barack Obama was elected, the goal, obviously, of the Republican leadership was to make him a one-term president. And if you remember, in 2012, he won re-election, but he came back to a Congress and a Senate that it was difficult to get much of anything through. They stonewalled him. So I think we need to focus on making sure that, yeah, we got the presidency. Yes, we actually lost some congressional seats, but let's get the Senate in a majority. However, I would have to disagree with Dr. Avis on the point that all of the 70 million people who voted for the president are racist. I know, or that they are terrorists. I know some people who, in fact, are African American who voted for President Donald Trump. Now, whether it was out of ignorance or out of misunderstanding or not being clear about why they were voting for him, I do know some people who are good people who made a bad choice in the first time, in the first swing of the first election. And they didn't, make that choice this election, or some of them might have made that choice this election. But ultimately, these are good people that we should reach out to. And I do think that after we get the Senate, I do think that now we've got the presidency and we've got majority in the Congress, that we do need to focus on bringing civility back into this country. And one of the ways to do that is we have to demonstrate it. So we can't say we got control, now we're going to run you over like you did us. I don't think that.
Hold on. Why not? Because here's the deal. Let's just be real clear here. Republicans ran the hell over Democrats to put 218 federal judges on the bench. They said, damn the rules, we're going to put Amy Coney Barrett on the Supreme Court. In fact, wait a minute. In fact, the rules of the Senate Judiciary Committee say you must have more than 2 Democrats present to vote out of committee. One was President Dick Durbin. They said, damn that, we voting anyway. So here's the deal. And this is the problem here. Democrats want to play nice by the rules. Republicans get power and say, damn the rules. Here's the piece. Since 1969, of the 18 Supreme Court justices that have been named, 14 have been named by Republican presidents. 14 out of 18. So, Shane, I'm sorry. Democrats, the other side has showed you how we gonna roll with power. And Democrats better get some guts and say, I'm letting y'all know right now, we win those 2 Senate seats and it's 50-50, we gonna run a Boston on your ass. We gonna pass bills in the House, we gonna pass in the Senate, because see, again, Democrats played nice with Merrick Garland. I said it then, I'll say it now, I will say it forever. President Barack Obama got played. Senator Orrin Hatch said, oh, Merrick Garland's a great pick, a wonderful pick. I'm like, dog, they ain't never gonna give that person a hearing. Appoint a black woman, which would have been the first in history. You would have had a black woman, all these old white men opposing a history-making sister that would have galvanized voters, that would have galvanized women. Man, wasn't nobody trying to fight for the 104th white man on the Supreme Court. They would have fought for the sister. But Democrats play checkers. Republicans are playing chess. And I'm saying, if you play the game of we gonna follow the rules, they gonna run over you all day.
But I don't think that you have to follow the rules per se to try to be civil and to try to be respectful. And all I'm saying is that we don't have to. I think that Democrats can still get in and steamroll, but it's how you steamroll. You can steamroll by cussing folks out and blasting folks, and we gonna flick you off, and we gonna do the same thing you did to us in the same way, or we can do it in a different way.
Hold up.
Bring dignity back into our democracy.
Well, first of all, what's the different way? I'm sorry, Michael, I'm confused here, because Republicans have shown exactly how they lead, and you know what ends up happening? They get their way every single time, and Democrats are like, oh man, we shouldn't have done that. We should have done something different. I don't know where we go. And they stand there like, what happened?
No, I mean, I would argue that, though, because there has been a history in this democracy of both of these parties playing that same game and that same tune. And that is to push and shove down the throats of everyday people what the agenda is of that particular party. So I would argue that a little bit, Roland. There has been a history in this country of both of these parties.
Nah, we ain't talking history. We ain't talking history. We talking the last 12 years. And Michael, the last 12 years, Mitch McConnell said, Michael, In 2016, 8 Obama judges got confirmed. 8. The Republicans confirmed 5 in one day a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I should have probably said this in the first time you called on me, Roland. I want to congratulate my law school professor, Vice President Biden, for his victory. But I would probably agree with Shane if there was different set of leadership. With this set of leadership on the GOP side, both in the House and the Senate, I mean, Kevin McCarthy came out the other day and said Trump won. I mean, with that kind of mindset and leadership, you cannot bring a knife to a gunfight. We have to stop doing that. Roland, you just mentioned that about how we like to play by the rules and want to be nice and sing Kumbaya. We're not in that moment yet. And maybe we will be after the 22 election or after the elections in January when we flip the Senate seats in Georgia. But until the leadership changes, we cannot have the kind of olive branch approach. It's not going to work. It's like dealing with a bully. I mean, we saw it for the last 4 years. Until you stand up to the bully, they're going to keep bullying you. So we have to have a different approach, a much more aggressive approach. That's why I'm proud of the Vice President and Senator Harris. They're moving forward. They don't care who concedes. They don't care who they get phone calls from. They're going to keep moving forward, getting ready to take over January 20th. So I like that they're not waiting. They don't need to wait. They won. And they can't handle it. This is who they are. And so we have to have a much more aggressive, frankly, thuggish approach to this transition.
Avis, I'm telling you right now, I know folks ain't trying to sit here and talk about Ice Cube. I'm telling you right now, the theme song of the Democrats should be No Vaseline.
Okay, I will let that reference to Ice Cube go. Okay, I have to agree with that. But let me
fine. But you don't want Ice Cube? Scarface's No Tears.
I'm cool with all of it. Okay. I'm also into what movie was it when the dude said they can't handle the truth? I mean, all of it applies.
Jack Nicholson, right? A Few Good Men.
There you go. So here, let me be very specific because I'm very specific with my language, and I'm not really into hyperbole. The reason why I called a Mitch McConnell, a Lindsey Graham, a terrorist, and a Donald Trump is because it's not just their rhetoric, as bad as it is. It's the fact that they have an entire media ecosystem that they use as a propaganda arm to spread their lies and indoctrinate their followers. They radicalize their followers through an entire ecosystem of various different media outlets. Fox is only a small part of it. They have an entire media ecosystem, which includes radio shows, which includes digital shows, which includes all sorts of individual personalities on that right wing, the whole QAnon situation, where all they do is radicalize people 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and prime their followers for violence, prime their followers to believe things that are not true, okay? And that's what creates a very dangerous situation. So I'm very specific with my language. That is terroristic activity, and it leads to violence. It's already led to the highest uptick in hate crime that we've seen in this nation for decades. It's already led to a record number of hate groups now having their home right here in America. So, if you don't think, what's happening right now when they are trying to delegitimize this election is that they're also spurring up anger and hatred towards the people who are elected. Now, I do believe that the Secret Service can do their job, but this is a very dangerous game that they are playing. People could die. Let me be very specific. People could die. And that's why it is terrorist activity being propagated by terrorists who are trying to hold on to undeserved power. They are trying now to have a coup so that they can maintain power against the will of the people. That is what's going on now. And that's really how I describe it. it may be shocking for some people to hear that language utilized, but if you were to look at their methodology, exactly what they're doing and what their outcome is that they want to achieve, I don't see any other way that you could describe it.
I mean, look, look, Shane, I hear you on all that civility talk. I know what these cats gonna do. I know what's coming. Here's what's about to come. We're about to hear fiscal policy, the debt. Gotta cut. Mitch McConnell's already said, you're gonna have to negotiate with me for your cabinet picks.
Sure did.
Yep.
Donald Trump was like, you know what? I ain't wasting my time even going there. I'm just gonna name them to interim positions. That's what Biden should do. I'm telling you right now. You cannot negotiate with terrorists.
No.
And what they are going to do, they are going to try to bring Joe Biden down to his knees. They are going to sit here and just I'm telling you, what they've already shown what they're gonna do. I'm telling you right. Look, I know this is rough for some Democrats. I know it's rough when you talk about how you got to operate, but I just think, you know what? I think Orlando Jones said it best in the movie Biker Boys in terms of the attitude you got to have to deal with them. Go.
Stuttering and standing your ass around. Get down on your knees and bow that ass down. What?
That's how you got to operate. I'm telling you, these thugs, they don't know. They ain't playing nice.
Yeah.
McConnell, McCarthy, Graham, all of them, they will unleash hearing after hearing after hearing after hearing. That's why everything has got to be on Georgia.
No, I would agree. And that's why I'm headed to Georgia. That's why I'm going to walk and going to canvass and going to work for my good friend, Reverend Raphael Warnock, and John Ossoff, because we cannot afford to lose those 2 seats. It is critical. And that is why people need to understand, everyone's been focused on the presidency, but we have to think about Georgia, because without that majority, without those 2 seats, we are going to be in a place, as you said, Roland, and the rest of the panel, that we are going to be in a place where the Republicans are going to try to deadlock every single appointment and stall every single bit of work that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are going to try to do. So I think I totally agree. I just believe that we can do this. We can do this in a way that is, in some level, civil. I believe we can push that agenda. We can create that path. We can fight, and we can fight with our fist. We don't have to be, go to the corner and cry. We don't have to go to the corner and sit down and take it. However, we can do this in a way that is still teaching these folks that civility is still needed. We don't need in our own communities across the country a kind of climate where the regular person who voted for Donald Trump, the regular person who thought that Donald Trump was the change that was going to drain the swamp, as he said, and all he did was fill it back up. We don't need those people in our communities across this country. We don't need that kind of division. Wherever we can try to take that division down, we should try to do it.
No, here's the deal. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. What we got to understand is what took place to black people. We need to understand the massive amounts of misinformation that was targeted at black people who were buying into conspiracy theories. A lot of brothers who were talking about the Illuminati and all that sort of nonsense. Russia knew exactly what they were doing in 2016, and then Trump and his folks came right behind it. We broke down here how the Trump campaign had a targeted plan to disenfranchise and keep black folks from voting in 2016. And so we saw exactly what was taking place. Again, hey, I'm going to give you one more Orlando Jones, Michael Brown, in terms of, again, the attitude the Democrats have got to operate with being in charge. Watch this.
You keep campaigning for this ass whooping, you're going to get elected.
That's the only way you can roll, Michael. I'm telling you. This ain't the Senate 20 years ago. This ain't Joe Biden and John McCain can oppose each other on the floor and then go out for dinner and it's all good. This is not the day when they used to have families to get together and they disagree with each other. No. I did it in 2017. I said, this means war. And what these people, what the Republican Party wants to do, they want to solidify the federal bench for the next 50 to 100 years. They are focusing on a cultural battle. We're going to play you the video a little bit later. We discuss the evangelicals, the crying and the whining and the wailing that you see here. Because, see, it stopped their progress. And Mitch McConnell, I'm telling you, Michael, I'm going to call it right now. Mitch McConnell will block everything for the next 4 years, waiting for a Republican president. That's how they going to roll.
I agree. And we were on a call the other day and talking about how, wondering if, maybe it's a good idea and Vice President Biden or President-elect Biden will have a good relationship with McConnell. They'll be able to do things together, whether it's infrastructure or things that really impact both red and blue states. And there's a divide. You know, there's some people that have the thought process that Shane has, and there are other folks that have the thought process that good doctor has, and then we'll see kind of what happens. But I think most people, and I think most importantly, the president-elect and vice president-elect think they need to have a much more aggressive approach and taking a no prisoners approach, because the federal bench, frankly, is almost solidified. I mean, McConnell and Trump got done what they needed to get done over the last 4 years relative to vacancies. Obama, frankly, and I know a lot of Obama lovers, and we all are, I get it, but he did a poor, terrible job relative to the federal bench. Now, I understand McConnell did a lot of blocking, but in those first couple of years when he had the Senate, he could have flooded it just like 45 did. He chose not to. That wasn't a priority. And we're getting hit with that. Now, that's the past. Talking about now, present and the future, so I want Vice President Harris and President-elect President-elect Biden to come to the table and say, look, McConnell is not a friend. He is not going to be helpful. So we have to legislate hard. I mean, the kind of legislation that you're going to put in front of the Senate that does help red and blue states at the same time. So these folks get phone calls from their constituents saying, why aren't you supporting that bill? Yeah, I don't like Biden, but this bill is going to help me. It's going to help my family. It's going to give me a job. It's going to make my quality of life better. This is where legislation becomes important, because the court part, you certainly can't rely on. You can't rely on McConnell opening the doors and saying, oh, great, whatever Nancy Pelosi wants to do, I'm going to pass. So we have to have strong legislation that impacts folks, whether you're in a red state or a blue state.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, at Seek.com, I want to thank them for being a partner with Roland Martin Unfiltered. Mary Spiel, the founder of this black-owned virtual reality company. You can watch their content at Seek.com, CEEK.com. This is one of the headsets that you can use. This virtual reality headset. Drop your phone right into here. Look at that content, that VR content on their site. Other 360-degree video puts you right Right there up close. And so you just pop it on like this, and then you're able literally to just sit here and put yourself in the room and see everything that's around you 360 degrees. Now, if you listen to music, folks, you can check out the music on their Seek.com headphones. These right here, folks, are 360 degree 4D headphones. The bass on these things are absolutely amazing. Surround sound. So literally when you're listening to it, the sound actually is around your whole head. Again, created by a sister. If you want to get the headset for the music or the VR headset, simply use this promo code RMVIP2020. RMVIP2020. Christmas is coming up. Some great gifts. In fact, my birthday in 9 days. So I'm just giving y'all a hint. So use a promo code RMVIP2020 and go to Seek.com. And again, we appreciate them being partners with us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. They want to go into special session and pass a law to impact the runoff on January 5th. And it was a Republican leader who said, no, we ain't doing that. Mm-hmm. He's like, we are not doing that. He said, what's going to happen is it's going to sit here and it's going to go to court. It's going to get prolonged. It's going to have no impact. No, we're not doing it. This is what people, and this is what I need our audience to understand. And the reason we're always trying to walk our people through history and present day is it operates the same way. Folks, if y'all actually read the book by Jack Bass on that Fifth Circuit, Unlikely Heroes, what you would discover in that book is, this is what they would do in Louisiana. They would pass a law against school integration. The lawyers would go right to the federal court and the judge would invalidate it. The next day, legislature would pass another law. They go right to court, the federal judge would invalidate it. This happened continuously. It happened in states all around the South. That's what we're seeing here. And recently, what I need our people to understand, and I have been yelling this, I'm actually working on a book deal about this right now. We better understand this white fear. We better understand that as long as Republicans control 31 state legislatures, as long as they control redistricting, as long as they control the Attorney General's office, as long as they control governor's mansions, as long as they control state Supreme Courts, you're going to see efforts to invalidate real voters across these states because they fear losing power and control. We had better be prepared, and I'm not talking about over the next 2 months dealing with Trump. No, this is a white American thing that we're seeing, and it's going to happen state after state after state after state, which is why the Georgia seats are so important, because if Congress can pass a strong voter bill that actually makes the VRA, the Voting Rights Act, permanent, forget sunset provisions, and put other things in, you're able to overrule what's happening in these states.
Absolutely, Roland. And unfortunately, some of the states made gains in terms of the Republican control throughout this election cycle. You know, we did have record turnout on the Democratic side, but we also had record turnout on the Republican side. And people have to fill out that ballot up and down the ballot. Even John Ossoff down in Georgia got about 100,000 or more less votes than Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So these are the kinds of things that really do hurt our cause. We have to keep the eye on the ball on local and state elections, every single one of them, every single time. Because if not, it makes the hurdle that we have to clear that much harder. So I completely agree with you. This is so important that we really stay civically engaged. And I know that people are, already angling to what they're going to demand from the Biden-Harris administration, but we have 69 more days before they take over. In the meantime, we got to win this damn Georgia elections, and we have to keep our eye on the ball and keep the pressure on these Republicans, because what they're doing right now in terms of these lawsuits and these statements that they're making is not about overturning the results of the election. It's about a propaganda campaign to serve as a pretext for further voter suppression. They're going to have the control control in, like you said, 30-something state houses for gerrymandering, for redistricting. That's why it's going to be important who Biden gets to put on the courts. If Mitch McConnell is the Senate Majority Leader, then I don't see how Biden and Harris get their judges. I don't see how they start to undo the damage from the 200 plus Trump-McConnell judges. And so we have to keep our eye on the ball. And I know people are probably tired of hearing about voting. They're probably tired of hearing about what their civic responsibility is, but we cannot let up now.
This is, I've been saying, I said it twice, 2017, I said it this year, Erica, this means war. I'm not sure folks are fully prepared for this. One of the reasons why I've been so critical of this infighting among progressives and progressives and corporate Dems and establishment is, I'm like, do y'all understand what they're doing?
Mm-hmm.
Erica, they ain't dealing with infighting. They're dealing with consolidation.
Mm.
What they're doing, they're circling the wagons. You made the point. 53% of white women voted for Trump in 2016. It was 55% in this year. Okay, folks, don't play around with this. And I'm telling you, people need to understand, all of these people who are criticizing, the reality is the coalition that elected Joe Biden elected him. But that is not a coalition set in stone. Once you start going under the hood and start looking at the numbers, there are some serious problems there that when you look at in terms of how voters went in the Rio Grande area, Rio Grande Valley in Texas, how votes went in terms of with African Americans, whether black men, black women, when it comes to, look, nobody expected a 5% drop of white men. That was supposed to be Trump's base. And so we need to understand that, look, they are about winning. They ain't about who's right.
Right.
They're not battling each other over, I think this is a better way forward. The Republicans are focused on winning. And when you win, you hold power. And when you hold power, you wield power. And when you wield power, then you're able to affect change. All I'm saying is, Democrats, you better figure out that deal and you better focus on winning.
Absolutely. And the way that you win is by investment, right? We have seen largely how grassroots organizations, Black Voters Matters, people have been working on the grounds for years. And that's why we've really seen significant outcomes, right? So the other thing that Democrats need to take a lesson from is actually investing in the South. That money has to go there because no contest is unwinnable unless you compete in it. Everything is, you can win anything if you at least compete, if you enter into the race. So investing in people that are constantly showing up without any real do-outs after the election is also important. Not only investment, but some of the civic education programs that we've seen highlighted on this show through Mr. Lee Saunders, through ACME, the Block program, I believe that's run by Angela. I don't recall her last name, but that is a year-long program where they have ambassadors, people who are actually from the community that are talking to people in the community in their own voice about things that are important, advising them about local and state, and then those congressional races as well. But they are actually folding in those voters. That's something that I do on my platform 3 days a week, the Savage Political Bite. But then in addition to that, when you're talking about that infighting, Roland, you know, when I think about Republicans and how they really do major in chess, not checkers. When I think about people who are complaining about what should be done or what shouldn't be done, you know, there's always room in the Republican Party for if there is really just one road, one way, one voice. Within the Democratic Party, we have a tent of voices, and all of those voices can be heard if there is an understanding that as we are all heard, we all push forward. But unless that is realized, unless that is something that is really taken to heart, unless people really do have an understanding of that, then they will kind of use the space that's taken up in the Democratic Party as a way to really kind of launch their own branding campaign, which is detrimental to the party, particularly to the base that continues to show up and show out. So to use the time to look at where it is that the Democrats can really make strong inroads, get in and start talking to Black men, and not just once in a while. Make that something that is done at least on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis. Make sure that you are making inroads with Latinx communities, right? Finding out what their diverse needs are, making inroads with the Native American community, which has showed up and showed out in incredible ways. And then also with Black women. But those are things that have to be done. That is called investments. That is what the Democratic Party really needs to hone in on, because as we said on this show over and over again, the get out the vote, the 2 to 3 get out the vote efforts, that's thrown out of the window. And I think that we can count on people having a better understanding how elections really do have consequences that really do now have an appetite for engagement. And so as Reese talked to, as people start talking about the demands that they're going to make on the Biden-Harris campaign, I would even say pump the brakes on that. Look within your own communities. What can you be doing? What is it that you can engage and lean in further on? What are some commissions, some board of election commission seats that maybe are coming up for grabs that you can learn more about and get engaged in? The onus also is on the citizens. And so we have a responsibility ourselves to not just sit at the table and be prepared to eat, but to also find out, well, what is it that I can bring as well, so that when we all eat, we're all eating together.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, this is the Seek.com virtual reality headset. What happens is you just pop your phone right into here, and then when you close it up, you can actually look at the content on Seek.com, their VR content, or you can look at other 360-degree video that puts you right into the room. So, like, literally, you can just be looking all over. And so, Mary Spio is the founder of the company. She's the innovator behind this, a Black woman, sister from Ghana. And so that's their VR headset. They also have these 360-degree 4D headphones. A tremendous bass that covers all across your head. Great sound. Gamers love them. You can attach a headset to this as well. It's Bluetooth. Folks, if you want to get either one of these devices, go to Seek.com, Seek.com. That's Seek.com, Seek.com. Use the promo code RMVIP2020. RMVIP 2020, and check that out. And so we certainly appreciate them being partners with us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered, where we, of course, support Black-owned businesses like Seek.com. And also go to their site. You can also subscribe to their monthly content. That's right there on Seek.com. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. I do want to go ahead and talk about this here. I'm really getting sick and tired of these damn progressives who are acting a complete ass. They're acting right now complete ass, okay? Sniping at each other, blaming each other. Last I checked, the Democrats won the White House. Last I checked, they still control the House. Last I checked, if you win 2 Senate seats, you control the Senate. They're acting like they lost. And I think one of the biggest problems here is that these progressives and these Democrats, they thought there was going to be a blowout. They thought, oh, we're going to have 57 seats in the Senate. Man, we're going to go to 235, 40 in the House. Oh, my God, we're going to sit here and get 400 electoral college votes. It didn't happen. I wish they would shut the hell up, stop going at each other, and focus on Georgia, then focus on leading after January. But this whole deal, oh, defund the police is why we lost. Oh, you didn't run. That's what they're saying over to AOC, and she's saying y'all didn't run strong digital campaigns. I'm like, Democrat, do you know how to enjoy a win?
They can't help themselves, Roland.
But I wish they would shut the hell up. Because what you're doing is you're taking the emphasis off of where it should be, which is win those 2 Georgia seats. Focus. I saw this dumbass tweet today. And yes, I said a dumbass tweet. He blocked me. Somebody screenshotted this. And let me find it. This just dumbass tweet from Sean King. Same thing, okay? Let me find this so I can show it. I'm gonna pull up in a second, but it's just stupid. It's like they're spending time on stupid stuff, and I'm like, you know what? This is how you snatch. Let me show you this right. So again, Sean King blocked me because I had the audacity to lightly criticize him because he can't take criticism when he was wrong going after Rachel Maddow in the primary over something she said about Bernie Sanders. God forbid you criticize Bernie Sanders. This is a stupid tweet Sean King sent out, and I'm calling it stupid. This is what he's tweeted. I live in Hakeem Jeffries' district. Drop the lower third. I live in Hakeem Jeffries' district in Brooklyn. I know at least 5 people that I think could challenge and defeat him. He's severely out of touch with his own constituents. He's also as weirdly obsessed with AOC as most Republicans. Disturbing. No, Sean. Disturbing is you tweeting this when the next election for Hakeem Jeffrey is 2 damn years away. Okay? Maybe the problem is you're obsessed with bullshit. Okay? Because the real focus right now is not on somebody running against Hakeem Jeffries. The real thing is, can you beat Perdue and Loeffler? This is stupid, Robert. It's stupid.
Well, you're completely correct. And Sean King wants to be doing something. He should be in Atlanta for the next month or so, just like you. You're going to be, just like Barbara Arnwine is going to be, C.K. Hoffler, Ty Gary. Many of the people who are actually organizing folks to vote need to be down here. Go to the AUC. You have millions of social media followers. Be rallying those people to vote, both get their absentee ballots and get them turned in. Forget about getting them to the polls on the 5th. Get them to vote right now. You can hand out documentation. You can send them to the website. You can send out the social media information to get those votes banked. If you want a progressive agenda, you're going to have progressive people in office. And even if somebody is not as progressive as you, they're still going to be more progressive than David Perdue. So you can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And I think a lot of this comes from these folks are young. They haven't experienced the awfulness of life yet. They don't understand you're going to be disappointed more times than not. And all you can really hope for is to get the best out of it that you can. And if you're going to let the perfect be the enemy of the good, you're going to end up with Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell and Michelle Bachmann in the House of Representatives. And then we'll be going back to the draconian policies that you just were trying to change. So let's work together for a little while. One thing that Republicans have been able to do, and part of the reason they are able to maintain political hegemony from the minority demographic position, is because Donald Trump can say that Ted Cruz's wife is ugly and that his dad killed Kennedy, and they still work together. Lindsey Graham can say that Donald Trump is a con man and he'd rather drink bleach than have to vote for him, and then work together on those for 4 years. We have to figure out how to be adults and not let these petty internal squabbles negate the public policy gains we're trying to make.
This is why I think Sean tweeted this. He got all this back and forth on social media. Go to my iPad. This is the Political story. They quoted Hakeem Jeffries on this call they had last week where Democrats were blaming each other back and forth. Do we want to win? Do we want to govern? Or do we want to be internet celebrities? And so what they're doing is they're like, oh, he's taking a shot at AOC. Here's the deal, and I have said this repeatedly, and I don't understand, Rena, why people don't get this. And that is this. The Democratic tent is far larger and more ideologically diverse than the Republican tent. On the Republicans, you're either right, far right, or nuts. It's 3. Right, far right, or nuts. Okay? On the Democratic side, there are conservative Democrats. There are moderate Democrats. There are center-left Democrats. There are progressives. There are far left. And then you got far left folks that are so left they might swing back right. Okay? That's what you got. And the reality is this here. Democrats, Republicans control 31 state legislatures.
Wake up.
Which means they are in control of drawing the boundaries for congressional seats, which means that you have more hard right districts than you have hard left districts. In where? Texas, Florida, North Carolina, Wisconsin, and on and on. And so, when people say we can't run on defund the police, that's true depending on your district. You can't run on I'm a socialist depending on your district. You can't run on hey, I support fracking depending on your district. So what Democrats have to do is shut the hell up and allow, which we've been saying, allow people to run a certain way in their district and understand, Rena, that Republicans are going to run ads against that person saying they're going to be a puppet of Nancy Schumer. This is what they're going to do. I'm looking at Political right now. This is on their front page. The GOP's Georgia boogeyman, Chuck Schumer. This is going to happen. But what Democrats need to do is stop all this back and forth bickering that plays out in media and shut up and say you lost some races, you thought you were going to win some, but you still won, Rena. Now your focus has to be on Georgia and then reclaiming seats in 2022 when the map is actually set up better for Democrats than it is Republicans.
That's right. It's about it's the numbers here. And I really love what Robert had to say, too, is that there's a bit of the age thing playing in here, no doubt. I mean, this is a sort of eagerness to go ahead and make sure that Nancy Pelosi and Schumer go to retirement quicker than they expected. I mean, look, young people like AOC probably feel like, what the heck? Why are these guys still around? You know, here I am, pretty much an international celebrity, the figurehead of a movement, she and the squad. But I mean, I think there's a reality here is that there's a long game to be played, and they should be celebrating this as a win. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that broad coalition building I spoke about and praised Joe Biden for is what got Joe Biden to where he did. And he's getting very close to closing in on the same number that Trump did in 2016. So, if Democrats nationally, and in these federal seats want to be smart and play this the right way, they need to do exactly what you said. They need to keep their mouth shut and stop blaming people like the Lincoln Project. When I saw AOC's tweet, I lost so much respect for her. I actually had started to come to feel like she was really coming into her own and was becoming very strategic herself. But I think she's lost sight here of the really big picture. And if this kind of behavior continues, they're digging their own grave. So, I mean, let's acknowledge the facts for sure, is that the GOP is not dead. This was a referendum on the man in the Oval Office, but not exactly on those Republicans holding seats all the way down ballot. You look around, you see the Republicans held on in the Senate so far. And they didn't get the flips they wanted. The Democrats did not get the flips they wanted in the House. But the reality is, you look at Republicans in the state houses, there were gains made. You look at the number of Republican women that were elected, it's a bigger number than ever. So I think that the country really, Democrats throughout the country need to acknowledge this. And I know a lot have, but it needs to really permeate and make its way through the ranks of those who've come up like AOC types. And I'm certainly not talking about Lauren Underwood types. I mean, I think Congresswoman Underwood, I'm just so glad, by the way, to see that lead she's got. She's been measured. She's been really good. But there are a number of others like Rashida Tlaib. They really ought to just close their mouths because they're still, it shows the results of this election. What we know so far is that conservative policies are still pretty much in favor throughout the country. People don't want the tax hikes that could stop the growth of the economy, whether it's post-COVID or right now in COVID. But you know, there's also not vast support for Green New Deal, for things like, you know, cutting oil and gas and coal. There's just not widespread support for that. And so this needs to go back to a moment where I think younger Democrats, those who are very progressive and are trying to hijack, say to themselves, what kind of game is the other side playing? The other side is trying to paint us out as very fractured, while they all get in line behind dear leader and whoever the next appointed dear leader would be.
Oh, Scott.
Yeah, my mother used to say, just because you got an opinion doesn't mean you got to share it. Everybody in the room doesn't even know how you feel about something or somebody. And I understand the media and politics and stuff, but you know, it's a big picture. And you know, you're right. They ought to be focused on the Senate. You can have those conversations privately. Why does Sean King and AOC and others have to have these public discussions that are hurting the big picture for the Democrats, whether they're young or old? It doesn't really
now, first of
matter.
all, here's what happened. Now, first of all, there was a call last week among the Democratic caucus. That call, stuff got leaked out. It got reported on, and there were comments made. She also was interviewed in the New York Times. Look, stories are going to be done. The point I'm making is, here's the deal. Do I believe that AOC is an internet celebrity? No. What she is a very popular. There are a lot of people who love her across the country, but there are a lot of people who don't. And the reality is, she appeals to those people who she appeals to. Got it. But folks need to understand that that's not how every district is run. Just like you can't run like Maxine Waters in every district. You can't run like Jim Clyburn in every district. You can't run like that. Everything is based upon how your district is set up.
And you have to take care of your district, right? You got to.
Yep, the 700,000 folks in your district.
Different segments. But take
You
care
know,
of your
and there's
district.
some people
So
being called to the carpet.
My point?
Scott, go ahead.
Yeah.
Scott, go ahead.
Can I finish this point?
Man, I said go ahead. Stop whining. Go ahead. Your ass be interrupting everybody else, and now you're getting all sensitive. Now go ahead and finish,
I'm
Cap.
not sensitive.
Come on, Kappa. Come on, Kappa.
Anyway, you take a representative district like Lucy McBath, a conservative suburban district of Atlanta, right? She ran against Handel. She handily beat Handels because she focused on her district. She didn't, while the Republicans tried to paint her the way they were going to paint her, right? She spent a lot of time nurturing her district because she was in a much closer race 2 years earlier, right? That is a model race that she ran and that the Democrats needed to hold onto that seat, and she beat her by at least 10 or 20 percentage points, right? It encapsulates what you're saying in regard to each district being different. And if you take care of your district, then the Democrats can have all of these different groups within the big tent, right? But they've got to be free to take care of their districts to maintain their electability.
Yeah. So
that's what
all the back and forth helps nobody. At the end of the day, it is about winning. It's about winning. And yet Democrats, guess what? You won. Okay? Shut up. Celebrate the fact that you're in control. And now your focus should be in the next cycle, how to build upon that. That's what you do. But you don't sit here and you keep the back and forth and the whining and the complaining. That helps nobody. It helps nobody, and it just makes no sense whatsoever. All right, folks, back to our Road Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, at Seek.com, I want to thank them for being a partner with Roland Martin Unfiltered. Mary Spiel, the founder of this Black-owned virtual reality company. You can watch their content at Seek.com, CEEK.com. This is one of the headsets that you can use. This virtual reality headset. Drop your phone right into here. Look at that content, that VR content on their site. Other 360-degree video puts you right there up close. And so you just pop it on like this, and then you're able literally to just sit here and put yourself in the room and see everything that's around you 360 degrees. Now, if you're listening to music, folks, you can check out the music on their Seek.com headphones. These right here, folks, are 360 degree 4D headphones. The bass on these things are absolutely amazing. Surround sound. So literally when you're listening to it, the sound actually is around your whole head. Again, created by Assistant. If you want to get the headset for the music or the VR headset, simply use this promo code RMVIP2020. RMVIP2020. Christmas is coming up. Some great gifts. In fact, my birthday in 9 days. So I'm just giving y'all a hint. So use a promo code RMVIP2020 and go to Seek.com. And again, we appreciate them being partners with us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. But I'm going through the Twitter feed of Donald Trump, and Bishop Harry Jackson Jr., who was one of Donald Trump's, was listed as a spiritual advisor. I think it was on Easter. He prayed with him. You can see a lot of photos with evangelicals standing behind him. He died on Monday, okay? Had tested positive for COVID 2 days previously. But if you want to see how Donald Trump doesn't give a damn about you, I'm looking on here, and maybe I'll find it. I don't even see a tweet acknowledging the death of Bishop Harry Jackson. Donald Trump don't give a damn about none of these people. He don't care about any of his staff members who gets this. He don't care. And these fools, so let me be real clear. You got to be stuck on stupid if you are going to the White House to be with a man who doesn't care about whether you live or die.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's like they have to be faced with that. It has to be thrown in their face for them to understand. It has to be broken down in such a way. But, you know, I think I really heard something here, and I think that was echoed by both my fellow panelists, is that there is just a fundamental disconnect with how they see us. And, you know, when I think about us, I think about black and brown babies like my children, and those children, over 600 of them, who they cannot locate their parents, the children that were in cages. Lawyers say it's worse than they thought. They cannot locate the parents of these children. It breaks my heart, but it does not break the heart of Donald Trump, who I unfollowed on Twitter just the other day, by the way, I must say, and I encourage everybody to do so, because we have a president-elect now. And you know, look, you gotta smile or laugh about something in this era, because it is just so much worse. And you know, when I talk to some Republicans, they say, well, Obama, he built those cages, he put those kids in cages. And then you think to yourself, okay, now I got to start at point A here. I got to break down for them how it all went down. But the reality is that the average voter throughout our land is not reading much, is not much connected to any form of news. I mean, they might consume it in the form of fast food headlines here and there, but the vast majority of Americans are not really plugged up or in the know of kind of what's happening in our nation's capital or in their state houses. And then secondly, they reject it because it's just far too complex for them to listen to. So there's almost a rejection of fact right there. But when I say that black and brown people are adversely impacted by COVID-19, I have data to back that up. I have stats to back that up. And if I go to some Republicans and I say, Herman Cain, Bishop Harry Jackson Jr., these are prominent black people who were near the president and were in his orbit and contracted COVID-19 and are now dead. And the president doesn't care. Why? Because the color of their skin. And that's just what it boils down to, because this country is very racist. I've opened my eyes up to that this past 4 years. I used to reject this. And look, I'm still not a fan of identity politics and coloring everything in sort of like, okay, I'm Indian American. I used to say when I was growing up, I'm just American. I'm born here. My parents happen to be of Indian ancestry. I'm of Indian ancestry, therefore. But I just really think it's time to wake up and see how they see us. Because only then can any sort of progress be made. Otherwise, we're operating from a plane of, okay, I came here thinking something different.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, at Seek.com, I want to thank them for being a partner with Roland Martin Unfiltered. Mary Spiel, the founder of this Black-owned virtual reality company. You can watch their content at Seek.com, CEEK.com. This is one of the headsets that you can use. This virtual reality headset. Drop your phone right into here. Look at that content, that VR content on their site. Other 360-degree video puts you right there up close. And so you just pop it on like this, and then you're able literally to just sit here and put yourself in the room and see everything that's around you 360 degrees. Now, if you're listening to music, folks, you can check out the music on their Seek.com headphones. These right here, folks, are 360-degree 4D headphones. The bass on these things are absolutely amazing. Surround sound. So literally when you're listening to it, the sound actually is around your whole head. Again, created by a sister. If you want to get the headset for the music or the VR headset, simply use this promo code RMVIP2020. RMVIP2020. Christmas is coming up. Some great gifts. In fact, my birthday in 9 days. So I'm just giving y'all a hint. So use a promo code RMVIP2020 and go to Seek.com. And again, we appreciate them being partners with us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. He's an ass. He was an ass before. He's an ass. We got elected. He's going to be an ass when he leaves. But the thing is this here. Again, we knew what he was going to do. He made that perfectly clear. So all he's doing is doing exactly what he said he was going to do. It's no surprise to me that Jack Nicklaus has no courage to say it's time for you to go ahead and go, because they don't want him to go. Erica, they want the madness to continue. Mm-hmm. They want that. Okay. I mean, this is who they are. This is what they are all about. And so that's what the whole deal is. And I think what people, like yesterday, Erica, on the show, I talked about how I need progressives to stop going at each other. Because here's the deal. This is just real simple, okay? The Democratic House is not made up of all progressives. Mm-hmm. It's not made up of all centrists. It's not made up of all moderates or conservatives. No, the Democrats have a majority because they picked up some centrist districts. Mm-hmm. It's a fact, okay? So you got to figure out, how can I sit here and work with folks to get the legislation? The other folk, you can't work with them.
Right.
Because they're not going to operate rationally. Mm-hmm. Now finally Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa says, yes, Joe Biden should be getting national intelligence briefings. Now all of a sudden, Senator Lindsey Graham, who, I'm sorry, as Rochelle Carey said, we ain't giving you a cookie because you now are saying that Joe Biden is the president. No. We ain't forgot what you said last week on Fox News, Lindsey. Mm-hmm. We haven't forgot that. But that's who you're dealing with. And when somebody shows you who they are, your deal should go, okay, got you. I'm good. Now I know how to deal with you. I think what has to happen right now is that the folks who support Biden-Harris must be prepared for the reality, Erica, that Donald Trump and his minions are going to draw this out and give no assistance whatsoever until the absolute last second.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sure, absolutely. And this is all thanks to the increased number of white women that said that they wanted more white supremacy to continue, that 55%. Thanks be to God for the 90+% of Black women and the 80% of Black men that said that, no, this is not the direction that we can go in, because as we look at the COVID numbers, we're talking about 240+ million Americans that are dead, to include a beautiful little Black girl, 5 years old, that died as a result of COVID. When we're also thinking about the still ongoing economic turmoil, we still do not have that CARES package that the House passed back in May of 2020 through the Senate. We also have here in the state of Georgia 2 important Senate elections that will be happening on January 5th, and a plethora of youth voters that will be engaging in the vote because they will be eligible to vote by January the 5th. We're thinking about all of these different things that we have going on. And not to be surprised that we have now people that are finding their cojones and trying to step to the plate to say, well, yeah, he does, in fact, President-elect Biden does need to receive his presidential daily briefings. Hell yeah, he needs to be receiving them, because the functioning illiterate person who is occupying the White House has not been reading them for over 4 years now. So there is this real exhaustion that the country is feeling, particularly when we're seeing that we have hundreds of thousands new COVID cases, where we're seeing people that are being hospitalized, ICUs at maximum capacity. So of course we do expect for the person who brought in the circus to leave with circus in tow. But I think that this is where people have to take stock and have to really own how being engaged in the vote is critically important. That, and also to remember that people that are not only on the federal level, but people that are on the state level, and I know we're going to get to this later in the show when we're talking about State Representative David Clark, who's pushing for more restrictive voting around wanting to call the Georgia State Legislature into session so that they can make sure that people can't be folks that with the assumption that people are going to be moving to Georgia in a flurry because of the Senate elections that we have coming up in January. So people just need to remember these names like Lindsey Graham's, like State Georgia Representative David Clark of District 98, that these are the people in the midst of everything that we have going on in the country that still wanted to block and drag out what is a final election. We're just waiting for it to be certified. But these are the people who really continue to obstruct along with the son of a Klansman. And don't forget those people. Remember those people when you're thinking about the state of Georgia, when these folks are up for election again in 2 more years. Think about that as we move into these different classes of Senate races, as Dr. Carr pointed out last week, that will be ongoing, thinking about not just 2020, but thinking about 2022, 2024, 2026 moving forward, because these are people that said that your life be damned, we want power.
All right, folks, back to our Roadblock Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, this is the Seek.com virtual reality headset. What happens is you just pop your phone right into here, and then when you close it up, you can actually look at the content on Seek.com, their VR content, or you can look at other 360-degree video that puts you right into the room. So, like, literally, you could just be looking all over. And so, Mary Spio is the founder of the company. She's the innovator behind this, a black woman, sister from Ghana. And so that's their VR headset. They also have these 360-degree 4D headphones. A tremendous bass that covers all across your head. Great sound. Gamers love them. You can attach a headset to this as well. It's Bluetooth. Folks, if you want to get either one of these devices, go to Seek.com, Seek.com. That's Seek.com, Seek.com. Use the promo code RMVIP2020. RMVIP 2020, and check that out. And so we certainly appreciate them being partners with us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered, where we, of course, support black-owned businesses like Seek.com. And also go to their site. You can also subscribe to their monthly content. That's right there on Seek.com.